regrets I have about being autistic is the fact that I masked my entire life. I masked basically for the first 2 decades of my life, and I got to a point where I did not even know myself. I never got to develop my personality, and I still do not know what my personality would be like if I had no mask. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So in this video I want to talk about why we mask. Why do we keep masking in spite of the consequences of masking? Another word for masking is camouflaging, and masking basically means that you're pretending to be other than what you are, and you're not pretending in order to deceive people or in order to lie to people or in order to be fake. You're pretending to be a version that people find, that you believe is more socially acceptable than the real you without the mask. Okay, so most of us have learned from a very young age that the way we are, the way we present, the way we express ourselves in the world is not very acceptable socially, and it can lead to social rejection, it can lead to criticism, which can be very painful for us, and we would do anything to avoid that. And so the best thing that many of us have come up with is to mask, is to put on a mask, is to camouflage, change our colors and all of that, which then leads to us living life as someone else and not as us. So we're basically suppressing the real us, we're suppressing the main us, our spirit, our souls, our psyche. We're suppressing all of that every time we mask. And for a lot of us, we mask full time, and the only time we unmask is when we're with ourselves. And if you're really unlucky, like some of us, then even when you're by yourself in your head, you're still masking because you've gotten to a point where you don't even know the real you. Like, I don't have a problem with being autistic. Before I accepted it, I really didn't want to be autistic. I really didn't want to be so, neurodivergent or anything, partially because of my beliefs about what autism is. But now that I'm fully aware of it and I've accepted it, I don't have a problem with it. But one of the regrets I have about being autistic is the fact that I masked my entire life. I masked basically for the first 2 decades of my life, and I got to a point where I did not even know myself. I never got to develop my personality, and I still do not know what my personality would be like if I had not masked. I do not know how I would be as a person, how I would express myself, what things I would genuinely like, what things I would genuinely not like, how I would talk, my mannerisms, things like that other people just seem to take for granted, that they just develop, that they just have as unique to each person. And I see lots of people, who just express themselves in very unique ways, and it's all very quirky, and I enjoy seeing that. But then it gives me a pang of regret because I go, okay, well, I mean, I am a certain way now, and I express myself a certain way now, or a certain couple of ways depending on number of factors. But there's that feeling of loss that I genuinely do not know what my personality would have been like if I had no masks. And so the personality I have now is like a mixture of the former masking that I used to mask, and when I decided to drop the masking to a large extent, I kept certain things that felt okay to me, that felt somewhat right to me, and I learned some other things. I developed some other things that I feel like I would like to be like. I would give certain ways that I would like to express myself. I adopted them. Certain ways I feel like I would like to talk, and certain mannerisms, certain habits that I would like to have, I adopted them along the way. Most of it feels right now, and I've just accepted that's the way I am now. But is that how I would have been if I had not been masking? Is that the personality I have now, the way I am now, the way I express myself, is that how I would have been if I had not been masking? I don't know. And I mean, it's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing, but it's just the way it is. It's just, it is what it is. The consequences of masking, the consequences are dire, the consequences are severe, the consequences are heavy, okay? From people experiencing all sorts of things, all sorts of mental ill health symptoms, physical health problems, chronic burnout. because we've been masking our entire life. So from autoimmune conditions that many of us tend to have, digestive health problems like depression, like anxiety, like a lot of people talk about how, and I experienced that myself also, that about how, there were certain symptoms that people consider autism traits. They did not have that before their burnout, but then after their burnout, when they experienced that, they developed those symptoms. And I can relate to that. I experienced that myself. So, there are so many things. And, the list of that, which isn't a very little thing at all, the list of that is maybe exhaustion. When you mask, you become exhausted because it takes a lot of energy for you to basically put on a different version of yourself every single day when you go out into public. And if you live with people, then putting on a different version of yourself that would be acceptable to them relatively, as much as you're able to every day in your house while you live with them. And you may not be able to be yourself except in very little snatches of time when you're by yourself. Again, if you're like some of us who at certain points in our lives we were masking 24/7 because we did not know how to be other than our mask, then that is a very painful place to be. And that is even, it's an added burden, and the consequences are even going to be more dire. We do all of that, like despite all those consequences, despite the severity of the consequences, despite what we go through, despite the discomfort of masking, of not being yourself, and your psyche really rebelling against that, we still mask for one major reason, and it is that the idea of people feeling uncomfortable because of us, because of the way we present in the world, because of the way we express ourselves. The idea that people would feel uncomfortable because of that is unbearable to us. And so from a very young age, we've adapted by pretending to be the version that we know that people find more comfortable. And if you think about it, it's a very sad thing. It's a very sad thing, but that's basically why we mask. And sometimes when you think about it, it can be very irritating when people come and they talk about how autistic people lack sensitivity, autistic people lack empathy. I'm like, what do you think masking is about? Do you think we love using up our energy and using up our brain space and just pretending to be other than what we are, and not being able to express ourselves the way we'd like to express ourselves, not knowing what we are, not having a personality, not being ourselves simply because we like it? It's all because we do not want to inconvenience people. It's all because of other people. It has nothing to do with us. Masking has everything to do with other people and very little, if at all, if anything, to do with us ourselves. We just have to mask because we don't want people to feel uncomfortable. That is all. Please, people should not come and talk about how autistic people lack empathy, or autistic people lack sensitivity, or autistic people lack compassion, autistic people are this and that or the other. Anyway, I'm not going to start that rant in this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you have not subscribed, please make sure you subscribe and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you would like to send me an email, you can find my email address on my channel page, askdrzane@gmail.com. And I'll see you next time. Ciao.